In today's tutorial, we're going to model this simple house, and basically we're going to model this from 2D drawings from AutoCAD. So I'll show you how we can simply in Rhino import and use AutoCAD drawings and how we can actually create the doors and everything around the house. So let's start. Here basically you will see that I already have some drawings, and basically these drawings are just imported from AutoCAD. I just drag and drop them, and this is what we got. So you can see here, if I go in the top view, that these elements are like, some of them are blocks, some of them are curves, and you can see that you even have hatches here from AutoCAD. So this is quite useful when you want to have those walls up and ready very fast. That's why you would want to basically have all this hatch in the same group as if possible. So now I'm just holding shift and I'm selecting the places where there is a hatch, and I'll show you later on why we're gonna do this. So I can either select it like this, and I can group it now, and then we'll have this as a hatch. Or what we can do, we can type select hatch, and it will select all the hatches there that we have. So in this case, for the second floor, I'll use this hatches and I'll isolate them just for a second to see what we have all here. So we don't need these ones, so I'm gonna delete them, but the rest we can also group. And now let's just use these hatches for now. So what I'm gonna do here, I will basically convert those hatches into surfaces. So the way to do this is just simply click explode, and you will see that all of this became a surface. And now, of course, the last thing you want to do is give it some height. So we're gonna say I'll extract surface, and I'm gonna type 350, for example. And this would be, for example, the height. So that's one way. The second way is how we can actually create these hatches is, let's say we don't have any hatches. So in this case, I'll delete them. But you will always have some of these walls if you created the file in a proper manner. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to select this. It says select by color, and I will isolate it. And this will give me the curves only. So I'll just hide the ones that I don't need, and I will use these guys for my extrusion. So one thing you can do here is you can either select all of them and you can extrude them like this, but then all of these extrusions will be separated. So what you want to do is you want to join them, all of them, so that you have closed polysurface later on. So when I click here, you can see that it's all one. So what I'm gonna do now here, I can either just extrude the curves right away, like 350, or I can also say extrude curves, but I want to keep the solid on top. So I'm gonna say 350, and you will see that I got that result. And here we have one extrusion that we need to Boolean difference. So another thing you can do is you can actually use this as planar surface. And once you have those surfaces, I'm going to say select surface, and I'll basically extrude this with the extrude surface command, and I will have the heights there ready. If you're wondering about this guy, we can of course do the Boolean difference here with no problem. So let's cap it, and okay, this doesn't work because this is probably not the correct, it's not closed, so that's why it doesn't work. So let's do Boolean difference, and there you go. Okay, so at this point we have both of these levels. This is the ground level and this is the first floor. So let's continue on with creating the rest of the house. So first you can see, of course, here that there is these guys here, and there's walls and there's windows. So if you want to actually keep the windows there, what you would do, I would probably use and create the surface there, and I will maybe bring it down like so, and let's extrude 110, and that would be my my place for the window. And now I can just copy it around. I don't need to do the whole thing again. Here as well, I'll just do it like this. Let's scale 1D, and let's go to this area there, and let's copy this over. I think it's the same. Yep. And now of course we want to put the height here for the window. So let's say 180. 180 is enough. So this would be the height for the window. So we're gonna go and scale 1D this guy, and now I have the opening for my window, which I can also copy over and do on this side as well. Here I will keep it on top because we also need to put the doors. So this is how it will look like. In this area here, of course, we can copy it. And the cool thing now that we can do here is we can actually use all of this, and we can save. I'll just show you here on this area here. You can say Boolean union, and you can say merge all surfaces, and this will clean up here the areas. If everything is modeled correctly, you will not have any seams there. So that's quite useful if you want to model correctly. And moving on, here we have, of course, this area in the garage, and let's extend it like so. We also have the areas here for the other side. So I'll just continue to do this until we have all of these nice and ready all around. So let's do a scale 1D. Let's bring it there, and let's bring this guy up. And let's do scale 1D, and let's use the reference point like this. Another cool thing you can do, you can use orient command, and you can say copy here, and you can just copy from here to here, and you will have the same properties, but of course this one is a little bit different. So we used scale 1D for here, and this one is the same. The doors, let's leave them for later on here, and I think that would be it. Okay, so now what we can do, we can actually use the same principle for the interior walls. So let's assume that the doors are 2 meters and 10 centimeters, so 210, and this would be basically my my doors. So I'm gonna lower this down like so. I just realized here that maybe the height of the floor would be too big. So what we can do here, we can select all of this, and then we can use solid points on. And let's go to the front view. Let's say this one. I'm gonna select only these curves, these points, and I'm gonna say here -40. And this will give me some height that is smaller. That's what I wanted. I can do the same here, the same thing here, -40. And let's say that I'm happy with this. So now let's continue on with the rest of the interior. So here we also have the doors. Let's create here the place for the doors. I'm gonna use this point, and I'm gonna do this all around now, where I see that there are doors, interior doors. So as you can see here, it's just a matter of having one initial element done, and then you can basically use the reference points from that element to get everything correct. And here is this guy, and let's see if, yeah, maybe this thing needs to go lower. I'm not sure if the height here is correct. Let's check. Yeah, it's correct. All right. I think we should lower the windows here a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all of these, and I will basically isolate these guys, and I'll use solid points on again. I'll go to the side view, and I will select the bottom area here, and I'm going to say minus 20 to have a little bit different kind of spaces there, and that's all right for now. So here, of course, you can always do here the merge all faces, and if the command works, it means that you model this correctly. So I'm gonna use Boolean union first, and then merge all faces, and I will have everything nice and clean here, as you can see. So we did this fine, and the next thing we can work on are the doors and the windows. So basically, let's use these elements that we already have here in the drawing. So as you can see here, I have here a small detail that I can use. So before using it, I'm gonna do curve boolean so that I have here the top. Let me check. It will not work like this. So let's create a polyline around it. So I'm gonna just trace here, like so, and let's join this guy. Once it's joined, I know that I can now use it as a guide. So a cool thing you can do here, you can basically let's first Boolean union these guys and merge all faces. What you can do here, you can select, for example, this edge. You can say duplicate edge and join it, and now you can do sweep 1. You can select this rail, and you can select this guy as well, and then it will go all around, and you will have a very cool trim here for this interior place there for the door. On the opposite side, you don't need to do it. So here we will have the doors. Let's say that the doors will be this height, and of course you can also increase here until the top, something like this. And now we have here those doors. We can group this, and we can of course mirror it around if you want to have the same exact details on both sides. And what I like to do is I usually like to put all of this on separate. Okay, so there's already doors layer. We can put it here on the layer, and we can change the color to something more subtle like this. Let's see. Let's bring it like this. Okay, so we have those doors, and now we can also play around with the interior doors, and we can use the same process we used to get basically the same effect. So as I said before, let's just there's a cool trick you can do if you have the line like this. If you want to close it, you can just type close curve, and you will get the closed loop like this, which is quite useful. So I'm gonna now duplicate these edges. I'm gonna join them, and I'm gonna do sweep 1, and I'm gonna say that this is my this is my rail, and this is my cross section, and this would be the doors. And now of course I will be using this guy and this guy as an extrusion, and we can just extrude those doors all the way up, like so. And I can of course put them in a corresponding layer for the doors. You can even do this guy here. Another cool thing you can do now here, you can actually create a block from this guy. So let's type block. I'm gonna click there. I'm gonna say door 1, and now I'll just copy this because I know that it will be the same distance here and here. So there you go. Okay, what we can do here, we can use, for example, orient. In this example, we can go from here to here, and then use this other element. And of course, you can see here that it's not the same block, the same distance for the doors. So let's explode the block. Let's use solid points on, and let's select only these areas here, and let's move them like so. And I'm going to now just select all of these colors to have them, and I'll create a new block. It's gonna be door 2, and let's unhide everything. So now I have door 1 and door 2. So let's see if these two doors are matching. I'm gonna create a small helper line here. So yeah, they're okay. Here also I'm gonna create a small line so that I can mirror it. I'm gonna use middle here, and it fits perfectly. So there it is. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create this interior, the interior double doors, and maybe we can actually use these guys here. So let's see if we can use them as a reference. So first let's change all of them like this. I'm gonna group them, and I'm gonna now try to copy them all over here. Actually, let's use orient again for better convenience, and let's see what happens. Yeah, they're matching. They just need to be pushed a little bit further, like so. And those would be the same doors. And now the rest of the things that we need to do is create, for example, this door. This would be the garage door, and let's lower this guy as well. Okay, so these two lines were not, they didn't have the thickness, so I'm gonna create here the thickness for them. Let's use the curve, let's join it, let's close this curve, and let's bring it up. Another cool thing you can do here with the door is if you want to add a little bit of detail, you can just, for example, do something like this, and you can make like a copy, and you can click here and it will remember the distance for the copying, and this way you'll have a little bit of detail on those garage doors. And if you think this is too thick, let's make it smaller, something like this, and those would be doors for the garage. And now we need to create the last doors here that we have. So let's do that quickly. We can use, for example, these doors. Let's bring them here. Let's rotate them 90. And let's do the mirror so that we have them on the other side. And let's move them from here to there. And now let's see, obviously they don't fit. So let's explode this block. Let's select everything, use the solid points, and let's bring this all the way here. And this way we know that these doors will match now. We can group them for now. And let's say that we want to place them in the position here. In this case, this other segment will be a little bit different. So we're gonna ungroup it. and I will use basically this element and delete it. I'm gonna explode this guy and join it again, because sometimes this happens. I have some weird geometry going on, so I'm gonna delete the. Actually, no, this is gonna stay, but this guy I'm gonna redraw. I'm gonna select here, and let's create this curve, and let's join it. And of course, I will be using. I think there needs to be some kind of thickness here, so I'll add a little bit of thickness to this window. So let's create something like 15, like so. In this case, we don't have the side views for this project, so we're just going to use the base plans to create all of this. And once we have these things, we can basically now let's do Boolean union here with these elements. Let's do merge all faces, and now I will have this edge here again that I can use duplicate edge, join, and now I can use sweep 1. I can select this edge and select this curve, and I will have my trim there for the doors. So let's join all of this, or actually just group it, and we can continue with Boolean union here, merge all faces, and there you go. So that's how we're gonna do it. Boolean union, merge all faces, and we have the doors already. The next thing we want to do is we want to create the windows, and I'll just, for example, use this bottom element as a guide. I will basically copy this element in place, then I will hide one, and then I will just use scale 1D to get it to the proper dimensions, like so. So I know that my window will be this kind of shape. So I'm gonna use scale 1D here, and I'm gonna bring them to here. And let's add a little bit of more detail here. Of course, you can do the complex detailing, but I'm not gonna do the complex detailing now. I'm just gonna do the simple one. But if you want to have more details around the windows, you can certainly feel free to do so, and use those blocks of the for the windows to create them. So now at this point, I'm gonna just use also this as a guide. I'm gonna go into the middle point here, and let's do scale 1D to get it right there. And let me just check. Okay. So what we can do here before doing this, there's a cool thing you can do. You can actually take this guy. You can take this this surface, like this detailing here. You can take the lines. You can say duplicate edge. You can join everything, but you don't even, in this case, you don't want to join them. In this case, let's just trim them here, and I'm gonna join it now. So in this case, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a rectangle all around. I'm gonna use a vertical rectangle, and I'm gonna create something like this. And I'm gonna move this rectangle in the middle. Let's say in the middle here. And of course, I'm going to scale it so that it's properly placed on the cell. So I'm gonna go until there. And I'm also going to put this guy here in the middle, like this. So this is all I have. So let's take this and let's put it here somewhere in the middle. Let's do the sweep 1, rail section, and there you go. You'll have actually the placeholder here for the window. And now I'm gonna unhide everything. And of course, if you want to have the same kind of the same kind of geometry in the middle, you would take this curve and you would maybe modify it just slightly. you will maybe change this to look something like this, and let's mirror this. Let's do curve boolean, and let's say that this will be our middle piece. I'm gonna set it here somewhere in the middle, and let's move it. Let's move it here exactly in the middle, like so. And I'm just simply going to extrude it upward until we get something like this. So, of course, if you don't like how this middle point turned out, you can also create this line as a separate entity. Then you can select both of them. So I can also show you now how to do this. For example, you can take this guy and you can bring it here in the middle, and you can actually unhide this and unhide the cross section. Or actually, we don't need to unhide it. We can use this guy here, duplicate edge, can delete it. Now again, but let's resize it just a slightly bit because it will be, I think, too big. So we're going to move it from here to there and something like this. And now let's use sweep 1, chain edges, cross section, and we have our window. And now we can, of course, do it like this. So both versions will work depending on exactly what you want. And now, of course, we can create here some kind of glass, and this glass can be double glass or a single glass depending on how you want to create your model. For now, let's just use it as a single glass. Let's bring it here and let's mirror it all around like this. And I'm gonna create a layer called glass. I'm gonna create it in blue color. So we have that set up. And here also I will use the new layer to create the windows. And let's use it something like this. So I'm gonna group this, and now we're ready to distribute this window all around. So as you saw, it's quite simple to create this. We just needed a little bit of workaround to get that sweep. And now I'm just gonna use orient, and I'm gonna place the windows all around. And of course, we will modify this as we go on. Some windows will match, some will not match, but that's the procedure. And of course, these two, we can just use solid points on here, and we can bring this guy to the end. And we can use this middle points there, and we can slide it over here in the midpoint of the wall. We know that it is the same, so we can mirror it from here. And there it is. So the next thing we need to do here is, of course, create the second floor. So basically, I will use the same principle I used for the first floor, or for the ground floor, and I will copy that over here. And we'll basically, I'm gonna use the same kind of techniques that we used here. I'll try to copy as much things as possible so that we don't need to do the same thing twice. So here, for example, let me check. Okay, so I'll try to orient this guy. I'll try to copy it here. And you see it will work well. So let's do this on the other side as well. Here, let me check. Okay, we can do it here as well. So let's take these guys, let's copy it like so, and let's mirror it here, and there you go. So as you can see here, we have some additional doors on top. So we'll use the same doors we used here, and we'll copy them onto the second floor. So let me try to see if this would fit nicely here. Yep. So let's do the same process here. There you go. And let's do the same for the front. You may notice that these windows here are a little bit different. So let's see what we can do about that. So I'm gonna basically use this, and I'll try to isolate it like so that I can see better what I'm doing here. So I will use solid points on. I'll bring this guy to the middle here, and I'll bring this whole area to the middle there, and I'm gonna mirror it, and we get those windows. Those windows are done. I think all windows here around are done, and of course we need to do the here the additional areas for the doors, for the interior doors. Sometimes this can be a little bit time consuming, but that's just the way that is the fastest. And once you have all of them drawn out, you can basically select all of these guys, and we can do them all at the same time. So I'm just gonna do extrude curve, and I'm gonna snap it to some of these. Now I cannot see actually the height, but let me check here. Okay, snap to this one. And once I have all of this, I will copy the doors. Let's copy the doors here, and let's see if this will fit. Yep, this fits perfectly here. Let's do Boolean union here and merge all faces. And there's one here that we forgot. So I'm gonna quickly do Boolean union for all of them here, so that we don't have any seams for the interior walls and the exterior walls as well. So I'm selecting all of them by holding Shift and clicking on the walls. Once I have them all selected, I will simply do Boolean union, and once that is done, I will use the command merge all faces, and that's going to be calculating now. And once that is done, we will not have any more seams, as you can see here. And yeah, let's mirror these doors on the opposite side here. Like so. And let's do that also for this room. Just this room is a little bit different, so let's move the details a little bit. Alright, so it seems that this door is a little bit different than the one next to it, so I'm going to just move it slightly here, like so, and that way we have it in the correct position. Alright, and we have 3 more doors here, so let's use, for example, these ones. Let's copy them over, and let's put them here in we can see that we we have a little bit of different elements here. That's because this wall is a little bit thicker. So I'll take this guy and this one, and we will do a simple solid point sound command, and I'm gonna move all of these points to the correct place as it is indicated here below. But you need to be careful to select all the points that are in the group so that we get the correct result like this. So that would be it for the doors. And here, of course, I will basically just group these guys. And let's use this door and let's move it here on the opposite side. Like this. And I'm gonna just simply drag it here into position. Like so. Again, we will modify this one since it's a little bit bigger. So let's move it. Like so. All right. Maybe we should also decrease here the length of the door itself, like so. And what we can do here, we can do one orient command, and let's see what we get. There it is, it fits. And let's do mirror without copying around here like this. And now we have all the doors. There's one more missing here. Let's do that, and then I think we're done with the doors. And that's it. All right, so we have the doors, and we have all the windows and the door set up. There's just two more windows here that we can use basically these guys to create them. So let me show you quickly how you can do that. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna basically ungroup all of this. I'm gonna delete this first one, and I'm gonna just simply use solid points on, and I'm gonna move all of those points in the correct height like this. And this way we know that the window is the correct size. So once I go to the shaded mode, that's what you will see. And let's mirror it here, and that's the final result. Copy, and there it is. Okay, so that's the creation of the doors, windows, and walls. Let's just clean it up a little bit more here. Let's Boolean union all of these guys here so that we don't have any seams. This way we have the clean geometry which we can work with, and now I'm gonna merge all faces here, and you can see that everything fits well. I forgot this guy, let's do him as well, and there it is. Okay, so now all we need to do is basically just use this floor and group it, and then we can just of course put it on top. We're not going to create stairs, but I just want to show you that how you can actually create the floors. So for example, let's say that you isolate all of this and you go to the top view. The best way to create a floor is just use curve boolean like this, and you select outside, and then you have this inner edge that you can use for the flooring, and you know that this will be the exact floor that your house has, like this. And of course this is just the simple method that you can use. I suggest that you don't do this floor randomly. Of course you need to know the thickness, and you can also create separate floors for each room like this, the same way. So for example, if you want to create a floor for this room only, you would do curve boolean and you would select that plane, and now you can basically just extrude this for the amount you want, and you can add a different material if you want, and I will have those two floors. So maybe for the kitchen you have different floor than for the entrance, and so on. So that would be basically the creation of this. And yeah, of course you want to create the middle, the slabs. We will probably use this as an example, and you can of course put the correct slab height there, and then we will use this edge here or this edge there, or maybe this one, and then you will have basically this as a result. You can see here that we have some kind of terrace there on top, so that's one thing that we forgot to include. So it's not a big deal. You can just select, basically you can select all of these guys, and let's just join them. Let's bring them up, and let's do the close curve, and let's extrude them till there, and there it is. Usually this would probably have some kind of roofing on top as well, so, and maybe these poles won't be located here. Maybe they would be like a fence. So whatever you want to do with this you can. And of course I'm not exactly sure what these two are for, but I assume from this that maybe this was supposed to be a terrace here, so this would probably be the same way treated like the terrace that we just did. Close curve, and maybe this was supposed to be the door, but for now let's just remove it because we didn't do the fence, and I'm gonna remove these two as well. So at the end, this is the result that you would get. If you're wondering how we can, for example, make a simple roof, flat roof, we can of course do the same kind of principle that I just showed you. So we can use this floor, and we can increase it, let's say until there. And for example, now that I know that this needs to be cut, so I will just use a small line here to cut it, and I will just cut it like this with Boolean split. Let's just increase it a little bit, like so. Let's do merge all faces, and now I have something to work with. And of course I want to scale this a little bit, like so. Probably should be around 70 or so. And what we can do here now, I can select basically this edge. I can say duplicate border, and then I can say offset, and I will do, for example, 10, or let's say 30. And I know that this would be my my fence, so I will use the surface and just bring it up like so. And this will be my roof that I will be using for this house. So basically that's the way that you would create the simple house from CAD drawings in Rhino. As you saw, it's quite straightforward. You just use the existing lines in Rhino from AutoCAD, and you can basically extract them very fast and create geometry in Rhino. So I hope that you liked this tutorial. Please let me know if you guys have any questions regarding some other details or some other aspects of the 3D modeling of the house that you would like to see, and I'll see what I can do and create the tutorials for you. Of course, if you know somebody who will benefit from this, please share it with them, and this will of course greatly benefit the channel. And hit that like and subscribe button if you're first time here, and I'll see you in the next one.